acknowledgements. I want to tell you all a bit about the Colorado Renewable Energy Society, or CRES as we like to call it. CRES is a statewide, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. CRES and our local chapters provide education, advocacy, community engagement that accelerates the adoption of all forms of renewable energy, energy efficiency, high-performance buildings, energy storage, and emerging technologies that will help Colorado achieve 100% renewable energy. We do it all. We have active chapters in Boulder County, Jefferson County, Northern Colorado, Southeastern Colorado, and right here in Metro Denver. Our members stretch across the state, and several members of our policy committee are located on the western slope and in the Central Mountains. This broad involvement keeps us informed and active on issues that extend beyond the Front Range. First, I want to give a quick thanks to the Alliance Center and Serendipity Catering for taking care of us this evening. Thank you all. And now thank you to the Metro Denver chapter for coordinating this event with the policy committee and graciously offering their meeting space this month to accommodate us. If our chapter director, Mariana Pickering, could please stand up or wave. And any other Denver steering committee members, if you want to give a wave as well. Where are you? Stand up. And thank you all for everything that you do. And just need to say thank you so much to Mariana for all that she has done as the leader of the Denver chapter and for her work on the state board over the past several years. Our programs have strengthened and our membership has surged under your direction. She brought many of us together, including helping me first get involved with CRES, and I'm extremely grateful for all of the time and energy she has put into this. On behalf of the Denver chapter, we're very sad that you're leaving us for Fort Collins, but we're happy that you're still part of the CRES family. Thank you. All right. I'd also like to thank the members of the CRES Policy Committee for all of their work on behalf of this organization. Please give a wave, let everybody know who you are. Thank you. These are some of the most thoughtful people that I have had the pleasure to work with. Again, we're all volunteers and they're taking away time from their jobs and other commitments to think critically about the issues that are facing the energy transition and working to enable pragmatic solutions. They provide a wealth of knowledge for our friends in the legislature and opportunities for our members to amplify their voices on the issues they care about. Thank you all. Thank you all for your differences, for your experience, for the respect that you show each other and everyone that you engage with, and for everything that you do. And anyone who's a member of CRES, if you could raise your hand for a moment. How many members we got? Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much to all of our members. Your involvement, your contributions really make everything that we do possible, and we do it all for you. And is this anyone's first time to a CRES event? All right, a couple first timers. Thank you for being here tonight. I hope that you can learn something tonight and really enjoy your experience. You should log on to our website, cres-energy.org, find your local chapter, and check out their next event. You might find that you'd like to get more involved, and we would love for you to join us. All right, so why are we actually here tonight? Well, climate change represents an existential threat to humanity and life on this planet. Increasingly, Colorado communities and residents are recognizing the severity of climate change as perhaps the greatest challenge that we face. According to estimates from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, the electric power, transportation, and heating sectors contribute more than 70% of greenhouse gas emissions in our state. Confronted with the reality of the climate science, Coloradans and CRES members rightfully look to our legislators and the organizations in carbon-intensive sectors for solutions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. However, systemic changes to the infrastructures that our society has grown dependent on do not come easily, and the path forward is not always clear. That's why tonight is about courage. Because climate leaders must be courageous in the face of the uncertainty that lies ahead. Climate leaders must have the vision to see through the fog and adapt as we move forward. We need them to inspire, engage, and earn the trust of their peers, partners, customers, and constituents so that the energy transition is embraced by Coloradans and others around the globe. And importantly, our climate leaders must appreciate the significance of their actions and the role that they play in achieving a stable and hospitable climate for current and future generations. Everyone here can be, and I'm sure in some way is, a climate leader. None of us can solve the climate crisis alone, which is perhaps what makes tonight so exciting. there are many legislators, organizations, activists, regulators, and others that give me hope for the future and have made much of the progress in Colorado possible. Tonight, we honor not one, but 4 major utilities in Colorado that have made commitments to their customers to achieve significant carbon reductions in the coming years. We are also recognizing 5 legislators that have helped to enact structural reforms to combat climate change in Colorado. These legislators and their staff have demonstrated a willingness to sit down with their constituents, including members of the CRES Policy Committee, to discuss pressing issues, collaborate with their colleagues, and promote climate action at the Capitol. While there is much to celebrate, we must not lose sight of what lies ahead and the actions still required to fulfill these commitments and the additional steps needed to achieve a sustainable future. But tonight is indeed a celebration, so let's get to it. And I have the privilege of presenting our first award of the evening. Representative Chris Hansen has almost 20 years of experience working in the environmental and energy space. He has an engineering degree from Kansas State University, a Master of Science from MIT, and a PhD in economic geography from Oxford University. And if that's not enough, he was also a research fellow at the Oxford Institute for Energy Studies and worked on solutions for bringing more renewable power to poor rural areas of India. Representative Hansen has served House District 6 for the past 3 years, and in that short amount of time, it is remarkable what he has been able to accomplish and how he has emerged as a leader at the State House. In talking with Representative Hansen's colleagues, it is abundantly clear how much respect they have for him and his depth of knowledge on environmental and energy issues. Representative Hansen's efforts have brought important reforms to the Public Utilities Commission, increased access to community solar gardens, enabled the deployment of energy storage systems, and ensured support for communities in need during the energy transition. I'm very excited for Representative Hansen and his announcement that he is running for State Senate District 31. But it is bittersweet news for me because I'm a resident in House District 6, but fall into Senate District 32. So regardless, I support every opportunity for you to continue your great work on behalf of Colorado, and I hope you have inspired someone very special to fill your seat in HD6. So thank you for your leadership, integrity, vision, and courage. On behalf of CRES, we are proud to present you with a 2019 Courage Award. Please come up here to receive your award and briefly share with us, what do you see next in the energy transition?
All right. Well, clearly there's only one thing for Johnny to do. It's time to move. It is wonderful to be with you. That's exactly right. Or run. That's exactly right. He could be that someone special. I think it's wonderful to be with you tonight. I am so honored to be part of the festivities this evening. I think we can safely say, and I've said this several times publicly, that we had the biggest session ever for energy and environmental legislation at the Capitol. And it's wonderful tonight to take a moment to celebrate some of those successes, to reach out and celebrate the companies who are making this transition happen day to day on the ground, working in partnership with the policies that we're looking at the State House. And it really takes everybody in this room working together to get us where we need to go. But I'm also really want to encourage us to keep looking ahead, because yes, we've got this wonderful foundation from 2019 session, but it is really just the tip of the iceberg. We've got a lot of work to do in other sectors of the economy as we move to decarbonize across the board. I think we are on a great path now in the electricity sector. I think we are on a great start on electrifying transportation from what we got done last session. But now we need to turn our attention to all of the other areas of the economy where we need to decarbonize. So heating sector, building sector, the built environment, the construction materials that we use in buildings. These are going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to require creativity and a lot of hard work in the next few years. And I am really pleased to be part of that, and I'm running for Senate so that I can continue to be a part of that. And I really thank you for this honor tonight. It means a lot to me. This is why I ran for office. This is why I decided to take a lot of time away from family, a lot of time away in changing kind of a career trajectory that I was on. And I'm so honored and proud to do this work and to do it with you. So thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Representative Hansen. I'd now like to welcome Steve Szabo to the stage to present our next award. Steve is an integral part of our policy committee, an active and vocal PVREA member, and has worked as years as an advocate for clean energy commitments, and we're excited to see those coming out of the rural co-ops these days.
Thank you, Johnny, and welcome everybody. I won't lose that. Poudre Valley Electric Association serves 44,000 households and businesses in Larimer, Weld, and Boulder counties. We are very excited to have CEO Jeff Wadsworth here on behalf of PVREA tonight. In the past 5 years, PVREA has added more than 15 megawatts of utility-scale solar. They have over 600 members with rooftop solar installations and is active in providing community solar offerings to their members in free projects. Their most recent project focused on overcoming the barrier to solar for low to moderate income customers and nonprofits such as schools and fire stations. The project was recognized by the Smart Electric Power Alliance in naming PVREA the 2018 Electric Co-op Utility of the Year. There's more. In June of this year, PVREA announced their 80 by 30 goal, a long-term process to increase carbon-free energy sources from an estimated 33% in 2019 to 80% by 2030. To help reach the 80-30 goal, PVREA will look in advancements in technologies, including battery storage and grid management systems. PVREA will also continue to promote and develop a regional transmission organization and proactively pursue carbon-free generation opportunities. PVREA is working toward meeting this goal while maintaining the reliable and safe service their members have come accustomed to. Thank you to Jeff and everyone at PVREA for the leadership and commitment to your customers and Colorado. On behalf of CRES, we are proud to present PVREA with a 2019 Courage Award. Jeff, please come up and receive your award and tell us a little about your plans for the future.
Thank you, Steve, and good evening. On behalf of Poudre Valley REA, we're headquartered in Fort Collins, Colorado, just up the road. Even though it took 3 hours to get here this evening because of accidents and perhaps maybe the Bronco game going on as well. So the Broncos are not ahead the last time I checked, just to guys give you a thing. But it certainly is an honor and a privilege to stand up here on behalf of the board of directors of Poudre Valley REA, and as well as the employees. Something that we talk about quite a bit where we're at is change is slow until it isn't. And we're seeing change, unprecedented change in our industry taking place. And rather than looking the other way towards that, we're embracing that change. We want to be part of the solution. We want to be part of that change. And it's definitely going to take not only policymakers, utilities, transportation sectors, but all citizens of Colorado, and for that matter, not only the United States, but the world, in order to make this difference and make this happen. It's okay to be a small part of something bigger, and we're honored to be able to do that. It's a big ask, it's a big try for us of what we're trying to do. It's a BHAG that we have, even the 80 by 30 goal with what we have and the resources, what we're going to have to try to accomplish. But just because it's hard and just because it's difficult does not mean that you should not go after that goal. I ingest and reading quite a bit in leadership books, and Walt Disney is someone that I don't think gets looked at when it comes to a leader and some of the things he was able to do. One of the quotes that he's famous of saying is, "It's kind of fun to do the impossible." And when you look at the path that we go forward and what we have to do and what we need to look towards, and the organizations that are going to come after and speak, and as well as the legislators and certainly Representative Hansen, soon to be Senator Hansen, when it's all said and done, and the work that has been done and will be done, it's just an honor to be up here with those individuals as well, and cannot say thank you enough, and certainly cannot thank enough to Steve Szabo, a member of Poudre Valley REA in the true form of being a member. He's engaged, he's active, and he cares. And you can't ask much more from when it comes to being a member. So thank you, Steve. And thank you again. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Jeff, and congrats to PVREA. We'd like to welcome Laurent Mayon now to the stage to present our next award. Laurent runs a leading solar thermal company in Colorado, one of the oldest in the state, and he's been a long-time CRES policy member and advocate for the clean energy transition.
Good evening. So, on top of being the Boulder Deputy DA for many years, Mike Foote has represented Senate District since 2018 and served in the House for the 6 years prior. He's now in private practice, focusing on environmental law and litigation. Throughout his years in the legislature, Senator Foote has demonstrated a deep focus and understanding of our complex energy issues. CRES is grateful for Senator Foote's leadership in the major oil and gas reform bill last year, which fundamentally changed the century-old mission of this agency from fostering oil and gas development to regulating it with respect for Coloradoan safety and health as the first concern. The bill also provides more control to local jurisdictions affected by large-scale fracking operations, and Mike has been in the forefront of seeing these developments in his senatorial district. In the major 2019 PUC reform bill, Senator Foote successfully passed a Senate amendment that more appropriately valued the social costs of heating resources in order to promote clean energy. Although this amendment was later removed in House negotiations, it was the first time in a decade that a legislative text toward clean heating passed the legislative chamber, and we hope to achieve more this year with a year that's perhaps a little easier to prepare. Heating is the last energy sector which currently doesn't have a clean energy plan, and Senator Foote connects the dots between fracking for gas, heating needs, and renewable heating solutions. We're very pleased for your continued leadership in the transition to clean heating in Colorado. Senator Foote, we thank you for your persistent and fruitful work on clean energy and environmental protection throughout your legislative career, and for your very impressive achievements in the 2019 session. CRES is delighted to present you with this 2019 Courage Award. Please come up to receive your award and share with us what you hope to achieve in your last session of the 2020 session.
All right, well, thanks, Lauren, and I guess this means I can't say no to any of your bill ideas from here on out. But thank you for all of your work and particularly CRES and others in this room, because I joke around about it. There's been plenty of times that I've said no to certain bill ideas, but the way it typically works, as most of you know, is that a lot of times the first time isn't the successful time. It takes many times to get good bills passed, and the oil and gas bill that we passed this last year is a prime example of that. Many members of the legislature worked on that for many years, and we were told no every single time up until this last year. And we weren't able to do it ourselves. We had people from around the state, elected officials from around the state, and so many people, groups like CRES and others that really helped us do that. So I just wanted to, again, thank you for that and encourage you to continue to do the same as we get into the 2020 session and beyond, because again, it takes time for some of these ideas to percolate and to actually pass, but it won't happen, I can guarantee you, if the work isn't done on the back end. And there is still work that needs to be done, as you all know. I just saw 2 articles today, I think, that indicate how much more work need to be done. One of them was you probably have seen the latest CDPHE study about oil and gas effects to impacted residents. This was something that in many of our districts, people were talking about the effects that they were having close to these oil and gas operations, and they were blown off. People said, "Look, it must be something else. You're crazy," whatever the case may be. But a study like this, I think, really confirms that they were being straight up and telling what was happening the whole time. So we still have much more work to be done in that area. And the other thing that I read today, which was interesting, and maybe you all read it as well, it's an article about the country of Qatar. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I never can pronounce it. Qatar, Qatar, whatever it is. What they're doing now, they're not just air conditioning their buildings, they're air conditioning the outside. Because climate change is hitting the Middle East and like the Arctic disproportionately. And so their hot days are now 120 degrees. And people just, they have a tough time at 120 degree temperatures. So they're trying to air condition the outside, which of course is a nasty cycle because it makes more carbon emissions when they're trying to air condition the outside. So this is what we have to look forward to if we don't make real progress in a very short amount of time, not just in a place like Qatar, but also around the world. So it's good work that we're doing. I love doing this kind of work. It really allows you to wear the white hat and do the best thing you can for this community and around the world. And I know that you're doing the same thing. Please keep it up, and please be persistent about bill ideas and things we can do better. So thanks a lot, and I'll just conclude by saying, go Broncos.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, Senator Foote. Next, I'd like to welcome Rebecca Cantwell to the stage to present our next award.
I'm really pleased to be up here to present an award to Delta Montrose Electric Association and to welcome all these wonderful guests who've come all the way to Denver from Montrose. DMEA has been really a total beacon of hope for those interested in boosting renewable energy in rural Colorado for a long, long time. More than a decade ago, way before these ideas were popular anywhere else, DMEA was encouraging its members to use ground source heat pumps through an innovative financing method so that its members could use the steady temperature of the earth to moderate their electric costs. The consistent push by DMEA for more locally produced power was bound to set it on a collision course with its wholesale supplier, Tri-State Generation and Transmission. As we know, Tri-State has long been coal heavy, and DMEA protested the wholesalers' limit of a 5% cap on local generation of renewable energy, arguing that it wanted to create local economic development by building a local hydro plant. The dispute went all the way to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission in Washington, and DMEA won their argument in a nationally precedent-setting case, which is now on its second appeal, but DMEA has won twice at the federal level. But DMEA wasn't done fighting for the rights of local members to generate their own clean power. After a protracted legal battle, DMEA this summer came to terms on a separation from Tri-State that's expected to be finalized next spring. The settlement will allow DMEA to work with another wholesale supplier to provide stable electric rates and more renewable energy options for their customers. DMEA is the first Colorado co-op to successfully negotiate an exit from Tri-State, which was really quite an accomplishment. So for your years of leadership in fighting for the rights of rural Coloradans to generate their own clean power, CRES is very pleased to present DMEA with the 2019 Courage Award. Please come up, Jason Bronek, CEO, and Board President Bill Patterson, and share with us some of your plans for the future. Congratulations.
So on behalf of DMEA, Bill and I are pleased to accept this award. Our sincere thanks to CRES for this recognition. The name on the award is the Courage Award. And I've heard it said that one co-op with courage makes a majority. For the past several years, DMEA has used that mindset and a can-do approach to pursue its vision of affordable, local control, and local renewable generation. I'm proud to say that DMEA's courage has allowed it to take great steps towards these goals. But our progress and success weren't won alone. We would not be here tonight without the support and encouragement of countless allies from across the political spectrum. Many of you are in this room tonight. You know who you are, and I would like to express my sincere thanks for each of you. I would like to congratulate the Colorado legislators who received tonight's awards. DMEA works and accomplishments over the past year would not have been possible without support from Colorado General Assembly. I want to particularly thank Speaker of the House Casey Becker, Senate Majority Leader Steve Fenberg, Representative Chris Hansen, and Representative Kevin Priola for their particular vocal support for DMEA. Our local legislators, Representative Matt Soper, Representative Mark Catlin, Senator Don Quorum, Representative Julie McCluskey, and Senator Kerry Donovan were also tremendous support. Thanks to Governor Polis and the Colorado Energy Office and Will Torr for their tireless efforts as well. I would also like to congratulate the other recipients tonight's award, particularly our sister co-ops, Holy Cross and Poudre Valley. Even though we kind of banter back and forth, and I'm sure we're extremely competitive, it is all in good fun, and we appreciate their support and willingness to share great ideas to better our communities. And last, but certainly not least, I would like to thank our power supply partner, Guzman Energy. Guzman has been a terrific strategic asset for DMEA, and I'm grateful to the Guzman team for their tireless support to pursue our power supply vision over the past year. This is a great honor for DMEA, and on behalf of the board and our membership, I'm pleased to accept it. Thank you so much. Turn it over to Bill.
It looks good, but you have to remember, I'm on the board of directors. It's a co-op. We work together. And the big thing is, if you're on a co-op board, the most important things that you do are, number one, to select the operating manager for that co-op. Without Jason and his leadership, we would not be here today. And without the support of our members and a solid board looking forward and saying we can do better, it would not have happened. So again, I thank you, and we're charging forward. Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for attending this evening. This is a very, very special event. Two of our awardees, unfortunately, could not be with us tonight, but we want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about them anyway. The first awardee is the Speaker of the Colorado House of Representatives, Casey Becker, who has been mentioned a few times already this evening. Speaker Becker was first elected as a representative in 2013, representing District 13. She's been a leading voice at the Capitol and has sponsored numerous initiatives for clean energy and a healthy environment. Just in this past session, the 2019 session, she was one of the prime sponsors on legislation establishing a statewide goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 90% compared to 2005 levels by the year 2050. This new law lays the foundation for not only the energy transition that we need to achieve, but also the transformation of our state's most polluting and carbon-intensive sectors, including transportation, agriculture, industrial processes, and more. Johnny, I thought you did a wonderful job presenting to Casey Becker at our last CRES meeting. That was terrific. The other awardee this evening is Senator Kevin Priola, who represents District 30, covering much of Adams County. Senator Priola is an example of a statesman who separates partisanship from the work necessary to achieve this great energy transition. He walks the walk. He's installed a rooftop solar PV system at home, and both he and his wife drive electric vehicles. He's taken that clean energy commitment to the State House, where his efforts mean that Coloradans now have the right to store energy in on-premise batteries, which increases public safety while promoting increased electrification of transportation in Colorado. So CRES has enormous gratitude for both Speaker Becker and Senator Priola for their productive engagement with their peers and for their wonderfully effective leadership across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky, for those remarks. And both Speaker Becker and Senator Criolla expressed their regret for not being able to attend in person, but you'll have to wish Speaker Becker a happy birthday the next time you see her. It sounds like she's on a pretty awesome trip with her a few of her girlfriends celebrating, so be sure to wish her that. And now I'd like to welcome Leslie Glustrom to the stage to present our next award. Just brings an absolute wealth of knowledge and energy to our committee. We love having her.
Evening. It's my great pleasure to get to give the award to Holy Cross. Our Western Slope members couldn't all make it over, but this is a story that I love. I told it to the Boulder City Council a few nights ago, and they sort of sat with their jaws hanging down and more than a little bit of envy. But Holy Cross Energy provides electricity and energy products and services to more than 40,000 members in the western Colorado counties of Eagle, Pitkin, Garfield, Mesa, and Gunnison, including areas that neighbor on Aspen, Vail, and Glenwood Springs, and other, more. In September of last year, 2018, Holy Cross set twin goals of 70 by 30. You can see all that on their website. It's to both increase the clean renewable content of its power supply to at least 70% and reduce greenhouse gas emissions from their power supply by 70% by 2030. And to do it all with no increase in their cost of their power supply. And we love this kind of competition that's going on, so that's great. Holy Cross was already at 39% renewable. They could have said, we're better than almost all the other utilities in Colorado, but they didn't. They said, we're going to go farther, we're going to do it quickly, and we're going to do it affordably. We're going to keep our power costs from going up. So many of us wondered how this was going to happen. In previous leadership, Holy Cross took a pretty big portion of the Comanche 3 power plant in Pueblo. So they have a kind of pretty big coal commit. And I'm like, well, how are they going to do this? And the bottom line, these goals are largely going to be achieved by 2021. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. So in January 2019, Holy Cross announced a deal with energy supplier Guzman, who you've heard about. The deal between Holy Cross and Guzman Energy is a two-way agreement. Guzman will help Holy Cross build a 100-megawatt wind farm that will increase their energy supply to almost 70% renewable energy. In turn, this is a great part of it, Guzman will utilize Holy Cross's share in the Comanche 3 coal plant in Pueblo, allowing them to firm their power supply agreements. So it's just an incredibly creative agreement. This rapid action by Holy Cross was led by their president and chief executive, Dr. Brian Hannigan, and I believe many others. Also, I think we also have Megan Gilman. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't get to meet you. And they both and their whole team have been amazing. Dr. Hannigan left his position at the National Renewable Energy Lab as co-leader of the Energy Integration Lab to take the leadership reins at Holy Cross in January of 2017, and they pretty much have it done. So please join me in applauding the vision, courage, creativity, and determination exhibited by Holy Cross to move as quickly as possible to reduce carbon emissions and adopt clean energy solutions while not raising customers' rates. We're super proud to be able to award them with the 2019 CRES Climate Courage Award. So thanks.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that looks pretty good. Thanks to CRES for recognizing our leadership on climate issues. As someone who is a now non-practicing climate scientist, it actually feels good to turn research into operations in a way that's so demonstrable. And, you know, my colleague said, what was it? If you've seen one co-op, you've seen a majority. So I want to double that, Jeff. I want to say if you've seen several co-ops, you've seen a movement. I also want to recognize the outstanding leadership of all of our legislative leaders who are here tonight. You had a fantastic 2019 session, and the rumor has it there's a lot more in the queue. Looking at you, Chris. And I can't wait to see what comes about, because as you know, the climate challenge is not just about clean power. It's about transportation. It's about the built environment. It's about our industry. It's about the rest of our economy. And I think you've heard from several of the folks tonight. We have that challenge that remains ahead of us. What's great about our work in our wonderful community with our talented and passionate board led by Megan behind here is we're already moving on that next part of the challenge. We're already working with our transit agencies on electric buses and with our school districts on moving kids to and fro without emissions. We're already developing a net zero affordable housing project that several of you in the room had the chance to visit and that Governor Polis visited himself on Monday. We think that's a scalable model for this state because it hits the climate challenge, but it also hits affordable housing, which is a huge issue. We're also looking at our industry in our area and asking, when we have too much wind in the overnight hours, something that Jerome's shaking his head because our partners at Xcel Energy are on the same path with us, and in many ways, we stand on your shoulders. So thank you for your leadership. We have the opportunity to create great new industries, low carbon industries that bring jobs and new opportunities to the Western Slope. So let me just say again, thanks to CRES for recognizing us, for calling us out. Raise the bar on all of us next year, and you know, see what we can do to keep this going, because it's more than just getting an award. It's about making our communities more resilient from wildfires and, yes, from climate change. So with that, I want to turn it over to Megan Gilman. You know, as Bill Patterson said a moment ago, a co-op is driven by its board. And several years ago, we had some changes on our board of directors, and we had some folks get involved that not only were passionate about the direction they wanted to see us go in, but also were technically savvy enough to ask those questions, to challenge us as staff every day to bring our A game. And it's just such a wonderful pleasure to work with Megan and her peers. And in many ways, this is as much about their courage as it is for ours at the staff level to carry out the direction that they give us. So Megan, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And many thanks to Brian. I'm glad to hear it's a pleasure. It's always good to check in like this, face to face. And many thanks also to our colleagues at Poudre Valley and DMEA. It is really a pleasure to have peers who also see this challenge as exciting. They see electric utilities as the cornerstone of a deeply decarbonized entire economy. And we see that positive future. We see ourselves and our proactive movement and our leadership in the responsible transition to a clean energy future as essential. And we see that as a hopeful thing. And we're so excited about what's to come. I'd love to thank Brian and our wonderful staff. We were so lucky to nab Brian over 2 years ago from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. And it's just been a pleasure to see not only Brian's leadership, but the leadership we've seen percolate up within our staff of staffers who are so excited about these initiatives, about the leadership we're showing. And another leadership I'm really excited about is that of our members. Holy Cross has had a bit of a reputation for a while on being a more progressive cooperative, especially in renewables and climate change. And that has come not only with some support from our members, but really at the direct involvement and direction of our members. And if you consider we're in a location that's already seeing impacts of climate change, we have serious wildfire risks now just about every summer. some of which have posed enormous threats to our actual infrastructure. As well as we have economies run entirely on the natural environment. We're home to Vail and Aspen and Skirias and rafting and fly fishing and all of these industries that find the natural environment and the preservation of that so, so important. So we've had tremendous leadership from our members and encouragement that you wouldn't believe. And so our thanks to them for their years of pushing and support and encouragement on this. And thank you all for your involvement too. It's a pleasure to be here and it's an honor.
Thank you, Brian and Megan, and congrats again to Holy Cross. I'd like to welcome Ron Larson up to present our next award. Ron's one of the founders of the entire CRES organization back in 1996. He's also part... Yeah. Fantastic. Take it away, Ron.
Senator Stephen Fenberg is the majority leader of the Colorado Senate. He has represented the 18th District, which is Boulder, since 2016. Steve has worked tirelessly to bring positive change to all Coloradans by introducing and helping to pass bills in a lot of areas: energy, climate and the environment, election reform, human and civil rights, and education, among others. Among his many accomplishments, Steve sponsored and passed the largest overhaul of oil and gas regulation in over 60 years to ensure that regulators are considering the health and safety of Coloradans first. This gives local governments much more control over what is happening in their own backyards. He's also sponsored and passed legislation to expand the use of renewable energy and to account for the social cost of carbon in utility planning to achieve the most aggressive carbon emission goals or carbon emission reduction goals in the country and expand individual consumers' ability to store energy on their property. Senator Fenberg has already received awards and recognition for his work, such as the Solar and Storage Champion of the Year from CASA, Colorado Solar and Storage Association, and 2018 Legislator of the Year by the Colorado Trial Lawyers Association. Steve, thank you for your leadership and courage in your work to address climate change in Colorado. CRES is proud to present you with a 2019 Courage Award. Please share with us what you hope to achieve next in Colorado's energy transition.
Well, thank you for this award. You know, in some ways, when I saw the title of this award, I was like, Courage Award, wow. That's a lot of pressure that you're putting on some of us. But the way I look at it, and the reason why I say that is because the way I look at it is we are living in a time right now where really to attack this problem, if this is truly an existential threat, and I think it is, and I think we all think it is, we need big, bold action from the very top. What we do is obviously important, but really what we need is some big, aggressive movement from the federal level. I don't know if you've read the newspapers lately, but we're not getting that. We're instead getting a bit of a dumpster fire. I think that's a technical term for what's going on in the White House right now. But that's why it is so much more important and so critical that states act and that we fill that void, because it is a big void. And we have a clicking clock. We have a ticking clock on we also have clicking clocks, I think, on this issue. And, you know, in some ways, yeah, it's courageous to take bold action. In other ways, it's just common sense. If we truly have an existential threat, and if you believe the scientists, which you should, we got to do something about this, and we got to do it fast. am excited and terrified by the fact that I'm welcoming my first child in a couple of months. And honestly, like, I've cared about the climate, I've cared about environmental issues. This has been sort of a passion of mine, like many of us that have worked on in this area at the legislature. But to me now, I just want to have a livable planet for my child at this point, right? And so in some ways, courage isn't the right word. This is just what we absolutely have to do because we have no other choice. And so I appreciate this award. Thank you. I really have to say thank you to everybody for being a part of what we've accomplished. I mean, we have done a lot this past year in Colorado. And I think the most exciting part is not just that we're doing the right thing for Colorado. We have examples all over the state of companies that are moving in the right direction and helping set that bar very, very high. But the most exciting thing is that the entire country is watching us. And so, yes, we need to do something to clean up our air. We need to do the right thing and power our state with renewables. But the best part is other states are going to learn from us, and then they're going to do the same. And then we're going to start competing more and more and trying to one-up each other. And that's how we fill this void that we have at the federal level, is by doing big things that others can replicate and turn this into, as I think Brian said, a movement, not just across Colorado, but across the country, which we're very much seeing. So thank you for all of the great ideas. I mean, honestly, thank you to my colleagues. I think in the remarks to welcome us for these awards, I think you heard some repeats. And that's because none of us do this alone. So many of the bills had all of us that are getting awards today on those bills. We have to do that. We have to work together to get this work done. It does definitely take an army in the legislature. But I also want to say thank you to all of you for all of the great ideas. I look out and see many heroes and people that have given us those concepts that have turned into legislation that is now turning into landmark policy that the rest of the country is going to try to emulate. You know, it's incredibly important that you keep holding us accountable and that you help us keep pushing the envelope and setting the bar even higher. So asking in terms of what's next, I think we have a lot of ideas. We're talking about a lot of things in the interim committees and, you know, starting to put bills together. But I would also ask you guys, what's next? Let us know what we're supposed to do next, because in a lot of ways you are the experts, and you are the ones that help us look like we know what we're doing. So keep those ideas coming, because politicians like to look good. And we need the help. It's going to take all of us to do this. The courage needs to come from all of us, not just a couple of legislators, et cetera. And so keep doing that. The ideas coming. Hold us accountable. Make us do more and more and more. Because God, we all know there's so much more that we need to be doing. So thank you to the other folks to get awards today and for your courage. Chris, I'm looking forward to you finally putting those degrees to use and coming to the Senate, because that's where all the work gets done. Thank you, Mike, for taking on so many of the big fights, and thank you all of you for all the great ideas, for the expertise, and for helping us keep going every single day. Thank you.
I now have the privilege of presenting our final Courage Award. Xcel Energy serves 3.6 million electric and 2 million natural gas customers across parts of Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Texas, New Mexico, and of course, Colorado, which accounts for 1.5 million of those electric customers across 25 counties. Xcel Energy was the first major U.S. electricity provider to announce a vision to serve customers with 100% carbon-free electricity by 2050 and to reduce carbon emissions 80% by 2030, company-wide from 2005 levels. That's applause-worthy. Looking across the country, it's rare for such a major utility to take such a progressive and vocal stance as it pertains to addressing climate change. And I'm grateful for Xcel's commitment to leading the clean energy transition and providing solutions reliably and affordably for customers. Xcel Energy has been a valuable partner to the City and County of Denver and other Colorado communities through their Energy Future collaboration and Partners in Energy programs, where they engage in efforts to increase investments in renewable electricity generation and energy efficiency, expand customer access to renewable options and energy storage systems, and explore opportunities to leverage the electrification of buildings and the transportation sector as flexible demand and grid management resources. CRES recognizes that technology advancements, smart public policy, and prudent regulation of the electric sector are still needed to help Xcel achieve reliable, affordable, carbon-free electricity for customers, and CRES is also committed to achieving these objectives. On behalf of CRES, we are very proud to present Xcel Energy with a 2019 Courage Award, and here accepting on behalf of Xcel is Regional Vice President Jerome Davis. Thank you to Jerome and everyone at Xcel Energy for your leadership and commitment to your customers in Colorado. Please come up here to receive the award and tell us a little bit about Xcel's plans for the future.
Johnny, thanks very much. I appreciate the very warm reception in terms of bringing me up here. First off, I want to say on behalf of Alice Jackson, our Colorado president, and our over 3,300 employees here in Colorado, I want to thank CRES for acknowledging us for this outstanding award here. We are truly honored to be up here and to accept this. This is a major deal for us, and we really, really appreciate you honoring us for the work that we feel we're doing on behalf of our customers. I'd really just like to talk a little bit about, and before I go to that, I also want to acknowledge all of the other honorees here today, whether it's our legislators or all of our other energy companies here for the great work that they are all doing. Because everything that we're doing is important. Not one of us can do it alone. It needs all of us here to work together to achieve the kind of goals that we're trying to reach. I think what's important to us is when you think about our company, we like to talk about it from a standpoint of a journey. And we're on a journey. And you heard Johnny talk about us being the first major utility in the United States on December 4th of 2018. Important date for us. Our CEO, Ben Foote, came down here in Denver, Colorado, and made the announcement that we would be just that utility that was going to be 100% carbon-free electricity by 2050. That's a major goal when you think about an industry and a company that is pretty conservative about what it wants to go about its business. And it's a major goal when you talk about doing something that we really don't know how we're going to get there. And we acknowledge that. But the driver is our customers are demanding this of us. Our communities are demanding this of us. And we need to react to that. And we need to take that into account of what we see across the board, of what's going on in the climate, and acknowledge it and take a leadership role to do that. And what we saw when we made that announcement back in December, the dam was busted. It's very hard to go across the United States and not see a utility that has not established a goal in carbon reduction. And that is the kind of thing that I think happens with the right leadership that says we're going to go out here. We may not have all of the answers, and that's okay, but we're going to go ahead and move forward and do what we need to do with what we feel is right for our customers. And there's no doubt about it, we've been very clear as we've accepted this goal, is that we're going to maintain our reliability and we're going to maintain our affordability. Those are tenets you've heard from all of the energy companies that have came up here. I mean, that's the entry into our business. Our customers don't come to us. They don't want to hear any more about we're on 99.9% of the time. That's entry just to get them to be a customer. And we've got to talk about how we wow them on the customer experience for that 0.1% that they're out. But more importantly, as we move forward on this journey with our legislators and all of you here, if we can maintain those two tenets, we have the right policy, which I know our state is looking to do just that. That gives us a long runway. And when I say long runway, I'm not talking about 2050 where some will say, well, that's too far out, Jerome. I mean long runway to understand the dynamics of what we need to do this right. And that's what we want to do. We want to do it right. We don't want to make any mistakes. We want to make sure we do it and achieve the goals here that makes Colorado the destination that every other state in this country looks at when it comes to sustainability. And we're happy to be here. We're happy to have you all on here on the journey with us. We are really thankful and honored for this award. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Jerome, and congratulations, Xcel. And let's hear it one more time for all of the awardees tonight. I got to say, it is truly inspiring being here and hearing and seeing all of the incredible work being done by these individuals and organizations. I think kind of one of the themes tonight that you heard from just about every recipient is that it's important to reiterate that none of us can do this alone, not even this impressive group of individuals and the leaders in these organizations. We all must take action if we're going to solve this problem. So I encourage everyone, stay engaged, support your local and state representatives, find your voice with the organizations that are selling you power or that you shop at, keep an open mind as you're navigating your daily life, and be vocal and respectful to help inspire change in your communities. And I think you'll be surprised at how much you can actually achieve in a lifetime. And speaking of lifetime achievements, I would like to invite Leslie Glustrom back up here to present our two final and very special awards of the evening.
This is a great honor for me, and I have to say it's something I'm pretty emotional about, so you'll just have to bear with me. All of this work has been amazing, and it's been said many times, if it weren't for the members, if it weren't for the customers, if it weren't for your board members, if it weren't for all of the people that come together and demand that we address sort of the defining issue of our time. So as I look out in the audience, I'm looking out on people that have been working on this for years and years and years. But there are two people in the audience who I have known for way over a decade. They are both absolutely tireless and absolutely selfless. And neither of them know, and I can tell, because I'm looking at both of them, and I'm going to ask Steve Szabo and Becky English to come up to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. And if you could rise to your feet. And they weren't expecting it, you can tell, because that's not their style. And people who know me know I like to get my facts straight, but in order to keep this quiet, I had to not check any of the facts. So I'm going to kind of make up the story, and when you talk to them, they can tell you the real story. But for each of these people, it's over a decade. I've known Becky since 2006, and I can't remember when I met Szabo, but it's a very long time ago. And I'm not so young, man. So they've both, you've heard about Steve's work with PVREA, but what you haven't heard about is his work with all of the co-ops and the Rural Energy Group, running for the board, showing up at essentially almost every PVREA board meeting, I think, for a gazillion years here, and showing up to testify at legislative hearings. And I had to just sort of smile, because as we were planning this event, the person who did a huge amount of the work was Szabo. And so he's basically planning his own party. And he was driving back and forth and arranging the food and arranging this and talking to the press board and on and on and on. So they've both just been remarkable. And Becky I've known, I think it's about 2006. And she's done two, just because she has a full-time and more job and many other demands in her life. But she has both run the Colorado Renewable Energy Society Policy Committee for many years. We have different people who are chair people, but it's really Becky who's been the glue for forever. And she's also, I think it's the Sierra Club Energy Committee. The Energy Committee for the Sierra Club. So she was both dealing with sort of the Energy Committee, kind of fossil energy, and the clean energy side from the CRES. And she juggled all of this while keeping a very demanding job going. And if you know Becky, you know how incredibly gracious and kind she is. And whenever we need somebody to kind of schmooze with the legislators, we make sure Becky's there. And they're both tireless, they're both selfless, and we don't get this done. I often think of it as we have to change the water that the decision makers are swimming in. And that's not a very elegant analogy, but it's like you got to just take out that old water and get the new water in. These two have both just carried a tremendous amount of water for more years than I can count. And I just want to honor them both. And if you can join me again in honoring them. Oh my God, you deserve it.